You want to know what has good old Coach Tiff over here riled the fuck up this week? I am angry and irritated for the collective community of men, of women, people where we have spent so much time and energy and wasted money and wasted our precious gifts on restraining ourselves, on holding ourselves back. Oh, well, this might not work, or it's silly. People are going to think you're stupid. What if I go for it and it doesn't happen? And using all of that beautiful energy to get yourselves to not do something, when if you have just taken all of that and focused it on experimenting, on going for it, on saying, screw it. I'm putting it out there. I'm doing the thing. I'm going next level. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to create this offer. I'm going to do things in this way. I am going to release the reins from myself and allow myself to actually run and see where that leads. And that's what leads to freedom, staying in restraint, staying confined, keeping yourself trapped. That's a guarantee you'll never have that freeing, incredible, serene experience. The only way you're going to experience lifestyle changing cash, abundance in relationships, abundance in your business, abundance in your energy, in what you have the ability to do with options in your life is letting go, saying screw it, allowing yourself to run, taking the key, opening up the cage that you've put yourself in, and letting yourself out. No one is coming to do it for you. And my hope in this special guest co host series on the podcast this week is for you to pick up on the energy in such a fun way, but also in an invigorating way. Like, you know what? Regina and Tiff are doing it, and they've been through a lot of shit in life, and they've overcome a lot. And they're being honest that it's still scary, it's still uncomfortable. They're doing it messy. Why can't I go for it? That's what our hope is for you, that you're going to give yourself permission on another level to propel yourself forward to the abundance that is all sitting there and waiting for you. I want to invite you to a rare opportunity that only happens once a year. And that's my 2-day ProjectME mastermind experience right here at the beach with me, my ProjectME dream team. Regina Lawrence is going to be there as well. And this is perfect for you if you're already generating some cash flow in your business, but you want to set it up for substantial growth. But setting it up for substantial growth without it costing you energetically, emotionally, and physically. So if you're starting to feel burned out and don't have much more of you to give, but want your time back, but want to see your business continue to grow, this is perfect for you. You don't have a clear, scalable system in place to convert strangers into paying clients on repeat. You know how important content, video, and email marketing is, but are lacking a clear formula to grow your audience with ideal clients using this. You feel like you're on Entrepreneur Island all by yourself, and that you want to have genuine support from real people who aren't being performative, where you can talk about all the things, not just, oh, look at how well I'm doing, where you can really get down in the nitty gritty and know that you're not in it alone, and that you understand that strategy alone isn't enough. Mindset and healing work is required for your ultimate growth in life and to be a match for the money you want to make and the goals you want to accomplish. Both strategy and money mindset healing work are equally important. And that's why this mastermind experience of 2 full days with me is so unique, is because you're getting both, which is setting you up to magnify the results so quickly. You will not be able to accomplish literally in what you could do in a year with what will happen in these 2 days with how it's been designed. And you can read all the testimonials both on my highlight section on Instagram, but also right in the registration page by going to projectmewithtiffany.com/mastermind. It's here in the description on Project Me TV on YouTube. You can also swipe up. It's in the show notes. It is also in my link in bio on TikTok and Instagram at Project Me with Tiffany. Now, this pre-launch sale is ending soon, where you get $1,000 off. So not only are there limited spaces, this is almost 50% sold out by the time I'm recording this. So it could sell out first, then the whole thing is over. And we cannot add any more spots. So if you're going to make a move that is also a business investment, which is also tax deductible because you're learning from a top tier business and marketing strategist on how to grow profits in your business, this is it. And you will see what can happen for you when you set yourself up to stack the cash, when you set yourself up to have things work in your favor. But you've got to make a bold move in order to have the big dollars. These little toe dip and scarcity moves, that ain't going to cut it. That's not going to get you there. That is just a way of gaslighting yourself into thinking you're really doing things and you're taking actions, but you're not really taking the more bold, kind of scary actions that make you feel nervous. Those are the ones that are required. And there's really no way around it. And my scaredy cat ass would have found a way around it if that was the case. And believe me, I tried for years and I can't get any of that time and money back that I wasted. So go to projectmewithtiffany.com/mastermind, register today. Love to see you here at the beach. And let's get that cash flowing in a way that feels so freeing, so delightful, so invigorating, so fulfilling, because it gets to be. In fact, it has to be, because any other way just simply doesn't work. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, coming to you live from the deck at the beach house in Manhattan Beach, California, with my first ever show host, Regina Lawrence. And I'm thrilled to have you here as a co-host for part 2. If you haven't watched, it's okay. You can go back. You don't have to listen to it in order. Although I have the personality type where I would absolutely have to stop this and go listen to part 1.
Same. I like to listen to part 1, then part 2, but these are 2 Virgos.
And such is life. So
wait, cheers.
Oh my God. We have to cheers
Cheersy.
to doing this. Cheers to being famous.
Cheers to being famous.
Rich and famous. We like this.
We're very into this.
This is made, by the way, if you're watching on ProjectME TV on YouTube. If you're not, you need to at least go to the YouTube channel to see the setup. And this was set up by both of us, okay?
We have a full media company now. Okay? We are a media company.
This is true entrepreneurship. And it goes back to my saying of there's always a way, like period, end of story. It might look a little messy. It might look a little janky. It might be wacky. But you know what? Does anyone really fucking care?
We have a 3-camera setup right now. I just want to say we have a 3-camera
on
setup.
A multi-million-dollar deck.
Like, we're thriving.
We are thriving. And what Regina has made for our beverage is she has many talents. This is something about her that you have to get to a certain maybe level of closeness or frequency with her to know.
To know their secret.
But there are a lot of gate kept like extreme talents. I'm not talking like a small talent, like stuff where you're like, wow, how is it possible that you're like do that too? So her latest talent I've discovered is that she does like elite fresh pressed juices, but there's no pulp in them. And it's like there's none. It's like it was strained 27 times prior. And so she mixed this with some tequila, right? A LaCroix.
LaCroix fresh pressed watermelon juice.
And I would say it's definitely on brand at the moment. So we left you hanging on part 1, right?
Yeah.
Little cliffhanger on, and we gave you a little tease about the stories that we're starting with. I think Pop needs to start.
Oh, Pop. So if you haven't listened to the first episode, Tiffany and I have a shared note. And in the shared note, we are putting things that we want to tell each other live on the podcast. That way, we're getting each other's reactions first, like live on the podcast. So I'm going to start with a story that I like to affectionately call When Pop Up Fell in Love with Me at the Jewelry Show in Vegas. So I went to Vegas with another really good friend of mine. She launched a luxury jewelry line, and she was showing at this like event where all jewelers go and they show their products and people can buy wholesale, whatever. I'm just there to be a booth bitch and to like help her sell her shit. And this one day we're sitting there, I'm there for like 4 days. This older gentleman comes over and he's got swagger. He is definitely quite a bit older than me, but he's also got like a youthful energy, really beautiful skin. He's dressed really well. He's got like East Coast Jew dad vibes. Like just very like confident and sure of himself, well dressed, well spoken. So I'm sitting in the corner of the booth. He's talking to my friend, and then he sees me in the corner and he goes, "Who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, hi, I'm Regina, blah, blah." So he starts kind of leaning in a little bit, and we're talking, and he was talking about how one of his secrets to aging, he said, one of my secrets to aging into my 70s has been learning how to quantum leap.
No.
So whenever somebody starts talking about the quantum field, my ears perk up. So I'm like, "Oh, are you a student of Joe Dispenza?" Joe Dispenza is a famous quantum physics doctor. And his response was, "Yeah, I got a couple things I could teach Joe, and I'm sure Joe's got a couple things he can teach me." Okay. So I'm like, "Oh, okay." So he starts talking to me about quantum, and I'm talking about that I do breath work and sound healing, and he says, "Oh, well," and my friend that I'm with doesn't know what this means, and you guys might not either, and I will explain it. He says a very coded thing that a lot of spiritual people might get. He goes, "Oh, well, something you might be interested in about me is that I have 5 Scorpio placements in my chart. I'm a master a master at Kundalini, and I'm a master at," what was the other thing he said? Kundalini, something else, 5 Scorpio placements. If somebody has 5 Scorpio placements in their chart, they're telling you they're very sexual. If they're a master at Kundalini, he's talking about Kundalini. Oh, and Tantra.
I'm thinking cunnilingus when you say this.
No.
And
But I think that's what he meant.
And I go, well, I think they know what cunnilingus is.
No, Kundalini.
That's like a kind of sexual yoga, right?
Yeah, it's like he said, I'm a tantric master, and I'm a master of Kundalini. So he's basically telling me I like to fuck. That's what he's saying to me. My friend has no idea. And so he tells me all this, and I'm like, okay. And I'm very, like, not interested, but I'm curious.
I love that you had to make sure we knew you weren't interested, by the way.
I'm very not interested, but I'm also curious because I love a good story. Like, part of me did this just so I could talk to you guys about it and tell you the story.
I feel this is true.
A lot of times I do things, go on dates with people, just so I can tell the story. I am the research project to share this with you. So he tells me all the stuff about his chart, and he goes away. About 20 minutes later, he comes back to the booth, and he has a little paper in his hands, and he's shaking. He appears nervous. And he goes, Regina, I went over, and I've been thinking about the conversation we had. And he had this like very Boston East Coast accent. And he's like, and, I have just when I'm close to you, there's so much energy. I feel so much heat in my body. And I was wondering, would you be open to sharing with me your birth date, your birth time, and your birth location?
This is what he wanted.
And I was like, oh, he wants to run my chart to see if we're compatible. So I give him the information, and he leaves, and conference ends, we leave. As we're leaving out of the rush of people, we run into him, and he touches me on the arm, and he says, we have things to talk about tomorrow. And I said, oh, okay. I leave, come back the next day. I'm at the booth. I'm like getting ready to go get a coffee, and he comes up and he says, "Hey, Regina, I wanted to talk to you." I said, "Well, I'm going to get a coffee. You want to take a walk with me?" So Pop Up and I go to take a walk, and he tells me that he woke up this morning and he cleared his mind
Wow.
and he meditated on me, and a lot of information came, and he wrote me a letter. He typed it out on his phone. And he asked if he could text it to me so I could read it later. So I gave him my number so he could text me this thing. I also didn't want to read it in front of him. And but as he texts it to me, he says, and also which is funny is when he asked to text it to me, he didn't know how to use his phone. Which was just like cute, like, oh, pop up. I had to teach him how to copy and paste a note from his
I'm
phone
dead.
and paste it into a text and send it to me. But then he proceeds to tell me as we're standing there, he goes, I know you're going to read the letter I wrote you, and I want you to know that, like, I have no expectations, but, I think that you and I have a karmic life connection, and I think we have unfinished business in this life, and I've had different women who I've had this connection with, and it's not always sexual. Sometimes it's just deep friendship. So then for a second, I'm like, okay, like he thinks like we could be friends. And then he goes, but with you, I think there is a deep sexual connection. And I think there's some things I could teach you and some things I could show you. And I was like, oh, and I'm just standing there like deadpan, like listening, taking it all in. And he's like, so, I'm going to send you this letter. I was like, okay. So he sends it to me. I don't read it right away because I'm busy. And texts me later, says, like, have you had a chance to read the letter? I said, no, I'm going to read it later when I'm alone. We're getting ready to leave the conference. And he comes over. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. There's another part pop up. He's there with his business partner, this woman who's his business partner. So after Pop Up professes his desire to sleep with me, he's at his booth, his business partner comes over and she's talking to me and my friend, and she mentions her husband. And my friend says, who's your husband? And she goes, my business partner is my husband.
Oh no. Wait, I was actually starting to get soft on the guy.
No, so then I meet his wife. And then later he tells me when I run into him that they are married, but they're going through a separation and they're trying to figure out how to separate with the business.
This is what they all
This is
say.
what they all say. It doesn't matter if
It doesn't matter the age.
25
They all say
or
it.
if they're 72.
The classic
The
separation
classic,
line.
we're separated, but we still sleep in the same bed. And the way that she was talking to us about him was like talking about like you would like one would talk about their partner that they're a partner with. Like, oh, like we try to eat like this. We travel here. Like we us, our life. And this is a woman, by the way, who appears like very strong, very confident, like she appears like a woman who, if her husband was leaving her, she would not be at a conference.
That's so odd. And you gave this guy your number.
So I give him my number. I leave the conference
because you thought Pop Pop was a sweetie.
I did.
Just like an innocent situation.
I did. So as I'm getting ready to leave, he comes over and he says, "I have something for you," and he hands me. He pulls out of his pocket a set of earrings for me. So Pop Up gives me, he's like, I think these would just look so ravishing on you, direct quote.
Wow.
And so I take them and I get into the Uber with Annika and my friend Annika, and I'm telling her about it, and we're like laughing about her husband's on FaceTime. We're telling him the story. He's like, oh, Reg, you're the same as ever.
well, like what kind of earrings are we talking?
Nothing crazy.
Okay.
They weren't diamonds.
Okay. But they were like, I mean, this was some 14 karat gold.
Yeah, it wasn't like some like cheap ass Claire's earrings.
Right.
You know,
These were from his line.
It was from a real jeweler. So we leave. We go back to the hotel. My phone's always on D&D. I had a missed call from him at 7 p.m.
Oh no.
And I was like, Pop Up called me at 7 p.m. Obviously, I'm not calling him back. I'm not
right. Of course
him.
not.
Then I go to bed. I wake up. I have a missed call from Pop Up at 2 a.m.
What? When he got up to pee.
Pop Up texted me at 2 a.m. And then I think he called me. And then I think he called me the next day. Never texted him. He never texted me. We haven't spoke since he handed me earrings. And I realized that he thought that for one night and one night only, he was going to get a Vegas hookup.
But how would he have escaped from the room with his wife?
Pop Up would probably have rented another room for me.
Oh my God. And
I
then
would
and
think
then what,
so.
snuck out of the room
Yes.
or said I can't sleep, I'm gonna go gamble or
Yeah,
something.
1,000%. Why else would he call me at 2 o'clock in the morning in Vegas?
Here's what the mistake is. The mistake is to think just because someone is older or of elder age that they are not going to be a shim sham sharam.
They play the same games as the 30-year
In
old.
fact, maybe even better.
He had game.
Wow. Have you heard from him since?
Nope. I got to Google him later because I want to show him to you.
I can't wait to see
I found him
this.
on Google.
So here's my promise story. We thought we would go with like the age theme, pop
We
theme.
went to go with the pop pop.
Except Tiffany, of course.
Tiffany's story is a little different than
I
mine.
took it much further. So I definitely like, and listen, when I like say things that are deprecating about myself, I am kidding, but I do believe there's always some truth in it. I do have daddy issues, like genuinely, like I'm in therapy for them. Interrupting this riveting interview to remind you of something that is long overdue for you to hear. It's actually pretty dang simple to start and grow a business to about 250 to $350,000 a year. Grit, determination, and relentless focus will absolutely get you there. The problem is it's not sustainable because you end up trading so much of your time and energy for money that you start feeling burnt out, you start getting resentful towards your business, and then the whole reason of why you created your business in order to, yes, help a lot of people and do something that feels fulfilling and exciting to you. But it's also to make lifestyle changing cash where you have the option to work from where you want, how you want, take the trips you want, pay for private school, donate to your favorite charity. So to scale from the six figures to the high six figures into the millions without depleting yourself and completely burning yourself out, it's a different strategy, skill set, and mindset that are required. The old you that got you to where you are now is not the you that's going to get you to your next level. And we appreciate this old version of you. I absolutely appreciate the old version of me, but we need to do an upgrade to your operating system and the actions that you're focusing on in order to get you different results. So, as long as you're willing and deeply connected to your vision, I'm 100% certain that I can show you the way, as I've done it for thousands of others in over 79 different industries in both my 7 and 8 figure businesses. And that is at my ProjectME Mastermind experience. This only happens once a year. This is the only way and a rare opportunity to learn from me and my team in person. And this is not an information fest. This is where you are absolutely learning high profit generating skills and will understand very clearly how to apply them and implement them into your business so you can make more and work less. This is how you get your time back. This is how you get to where you want to go faster, is by spending 2 full days with me. And on top of it, it's a tax write-off because you are learning from a high level business and marketing strategist. The pre-launch sale pricing is about to end. So you're going to want to make sure you swipe up, go in the show notes, go in the description here on YouTube on ProjectMe TV, or you can go to projectmewithtiffany.com/mastermind and grab your spot. We cannot add any more spots once these are gone. And now we're 50% sold out at the time of me recording this. It could be further. So listen, you know what to do. If you're feeling called, you know a move needs to be made and it can't be a small move. Small moves are going to equal small change, small cash. Big moves is where the big bucks happen, as long as you're doing it with intention and openness and willingness. And I am here and happy to guide you and show you the way. I mean, I do.
Don't we all have daddy issues?
But I mean, like, some
not?
people, like, when I say that to some people, they're like basically, or they're like, don't tell people that. Like, I've heard a lot of weird comments back when I say it, but I'm not saying it to like
It's
be
not
mean to
deprecating.
myself.
It's a fact.
I have daddy issues.
Me
My dad
too.
had me at 50. Okay, like people thought he was my grandfather even when I was like really little, because my dad didn't look like Pop Pop, who like kept it together. My dad
Looked
truly,
like an old man.
yeah, he did not My dad had no swagger and didn't try to have swagger, and therefore looked like he was my grandfather, to the point where I was taught to call him Papa, so that it would maybe mitigate some embarrassment back then. Now we see more of this.
We see a lot of it.
I digress. So you have a background of why this could even have happened with Gaddy.
Yeah.
Generally, I have a certain age range, right? My age range, like 10 years older, that's nothing. Okay. I've gone 20, I've gone 16, and then there was this one time and I was not in a good spot in my life. I was in the heyday of my exercise addiction. I'd done no healing work of this level, therapy, but nothing where I'm at today.
How old were you?
Very low self-esteem. This is what makes it really disgusting.
I'm really excited. I'm so excited.
I know.
I'm like, give me the numbers.
Wait.
Stop explaining yourself.
I know how old I was, because it's when I bought my first house, my like sexy Los Angeles townhouse. I bought my first house when I was 26 years old. Mm-hmm. This may or may not have been my original mortgage broker. And I felt so daddied by him because I was so scared. And I was buying a house for my first time, like, and not a cheap house. This is Los Angeles. It was like a lot of money. And I don't have any family. Like, I didn't have like a brother, an uncle, a daddy to go to. And so like he definitely, and I'm sure very knowingly, slipped right in that daddy role. He was a Jewish daddy.
Of course.
He had this is stuff I knew later, much later, but he had a full facelift. He had the ear tuck. He had quite a few procedures, and he was in a constant state of a very nice spray tan. So this guy really went elite with it.
Are you telling us all this? Are you building up so when you tell us the age, it's like a little softer?
I'm just like making it so you guys understand that it's like, it sounds so bad. And so I knew he was a dad. I have to tell this part, but I wasn't going to.
I can't wait.
I'm embarrassed. It's really bad.
Don't be.
Okay. You know how when someone's like, and I'm not making fun of anyone with this condition, but when someone has like really bad arthritis, or even like maybe a rheumatoid arthritis, and they're much older, and their hands get all knobbly. Okay.
Does he have knobbly hands?
He had the knobbly hands.
How old was he? How old was he?
He told me he was 63.
How old was he really?
I was 26.
Okay.
I think he was probably late 60s, maybe early 70s.
Okay, so we got 40 plus years.
Okay, but I was 26, mind you. So even 26 and 63, that's a deep spread, okay?
It's a deep spread.
He was a gaddy.
He was a gaddy.
And I mean, and if you're not familiar with the term, those of you who've been married 500 years, like a zaddy is like, how would you describe a zaddy?
A zaddy is like a little bit older, maybe like a 10-year gap. And he has like daddy energy, like takes care of things, like, you know, pays for dinner, all the things.
Nurturing.
But a zaddy has a zinger to him. A zaddy, like my zaddy, was, you know, 10 years older. There had all the makings of a daddy, but his home was like elite.
Okay.
Like
I agree. I see what you're saying.
And he had like riz, like he had tats, like he was a tattoo collector, so his body was covered in pieces of art. And like he just like, you know, now we're friends, and he'll show up to my birthday party he'll walk into a hotel where he walks in his French bulldog, Frank, into a hotel where the dog's not supposed to be, carrying a bottle of Cristal, yelling, "Where's the birthday girl?" Zaddy.
Yummy.
Yeah.
So this was a gaddy who I would not say he's like a zaddy gaddy. He's a daddy gaddy.
Okay.
And I knew how not okay this was on any level. I knew that this was a grandfather that I was definitely telling myself I wasn't going to have sex with.
Uh-huh.
that I would just got to get through this mortgage, like just got to go through escrow, like get the transaction done, and I'm going to cut it off. I couldn't cut it off. He was like the best father I ever had. I couldn't cut it off.
No.
I couldn't cut. So then I had to start sleeping with him. And then there were a lot of problems there, as you can imagine.
I can imagine.
So Gaddy is an expert diddler. Let's use just that. Okay, like
the word diddle.
he knows not, and I have to say diddle because it's not a finger bang.
No.
There was no finger banging.
Yeah.
In fact, I wouldn't have minded it, but there was none of it. It was a straight up diddle. Him and his knobbly hands.
The knobbly hands.
The knobbly hands. And I'm gonna go another level further. That's gonna shock you.
I'm excited.
You guys have heard me say to you that I've been engaged 3 times. I'm like the runaway bride. I joke about it, but I have. This was number 2. Wait,
I didn't know this. This has been in the vault.
this I might have was gonna take it to the grave.
Not
maybe.
anymore.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wait, so how long were you and Gaddy together?
Not long. He wanted to seal it up just like Pop Pop.
What was the ring like?
It was legit. No, it was legit. It was high quality. It wasn't like, obviously it was enough where I said yes, but I truly didn't want to say yes. I was shocked.
You were
because
26.
It wasn't even a long enough period of time. It didn't even make sense.
Yeah.
We hadn't even like gone on a trip anywhere together. Like it didn't make sense. And I was 26.
You were 26.
It was like crazy, but he really wanted to seal it, and he was so nice. And so I said yes, because I was a people pleaser back then, and I felt bad. And I wore the ring, and then when I would have to go like for work, and I was a drug rep, a pharmaceutical sales rep, I would put the ring, like I would turn the ring around and wear it on like the other finger or something, because I didn't want people to know, because I wasn't going to tell anyone
that you were engaged to
because
Gaddy.
I knew I had to cut it off.
Did you and Gaddy live together?
Never. Okay. No. And I mean, I've finally untangled myself out of it. It took me a month. It took me a month to get up the guts to do it. And unfortunately, any of my Jews, love my Jews who are listening, you know what happens when someone gets like engaged or there's like a big thing. I mean, it's same and probably like in your culture, right? Yeah. Like it is, no one can keep their mouth shut.
No, everyone knows.
So there was a fucking engagement party.
Okay.
I mean, there were photos.
Yeah.
And I did not orchestrate, initiate, request any of this. It was spiraling out of control. Uh-huh. But wrapping it up, yes, I gave it back, of course. And I felt like the worst person on the planet for so long. And I was going to take this to the grave. I can't believe I shared all this.
Number 2 was the Gaddy. This is epic. Did you and Gaddy ever sext?
Oh, I don't think he could have done that. Like that requires, I think, when you're sexting, you need to be pretty like quick with a phone.
You do.
And this was not going to happen with knobbly hands.
Have you had like epic sexting?
I am incredible at it. I offer the service.
Okay. I would think because you're a great storyteller.
I thank you. I offer the service. I personally think that my top tier skill would be phone sex.
Oh.
But I do think I'm pretty good at it. But I got to tell you, like, it's all also who you're doing it with. Because some people give you nothing to work with. Like with Mike, because he's on the spectrum and severe ADHD, like really bad. Okay. So you have that combo. Like there will be a pause. You could write the most crafted, juicy,
Harlequin
nailed it. When I say not even leave you on red, where you see the dots flashing, I'm talking bones. I'm talking nothing.
No.
I'm talking, it could even be 3 to 4 minutes before there's a reply. And I've received a thumbs up before.
Oh no. Oh
So my point is,
no.
it all matters who it is, and on like the receiving end,
Yeah.
right? Like someone, I think you have to be like a creative mind and slightly unwell to be good at it, don't you?
Agreed. Well, because you have to be a good storyteller and you have to have a good imagination or be able to articulate the things that you've tried and know that you like to tell someone that, like, to tell the story. And it's like dancing. It's like if you don't have a good dance partner, even if you're a great dancer, it's not going to be the best. Whereas, like, if you have another person who's equally as into the sexting as you are, it's a good back and forth.
I'm down with like, I think it has to be a slow build though. I don't think you can just come in with a flish flash and it have the same effect, or do you? Like, I'm talking slow build. Like, it could even go hours back in the day.
Hours.
Or are you more of like a,
No, I like a slow build.
okay.
I like a slow build. I like dragging the story out. I like when it's leading up to when we're going to see each other next. Like a slow, maybe a little bit of this, send a little picture from the archives. I like a whole storyboard.
Oh, yes. Why would I forget that part? It also depends on that.
Yeah.
You're a content creator, right? So it's
Yes.
like you've also got to have slip in a photo or two.
Yes, we're creating a storyboard,
And
baby.
therefore, you also have to know how to take a photo, like to where it goes with the whole thing.
Yeah,
And also make it look like perhaps this photo's from right now, or perhaps it's from my special folder where I have all my photos that I give everyone.
You're never gonna know. And you're never gonna know. You're never gonna know where it came from, and I'm never gonna tell you the truth.
So have you ever had like a fail with it? Like, have you ever on the receiving end had it be a fail, or you did something that was a fail?
Okay, I've had so much failure with sexting, not on my own part, okay? I am a master at the sext. I craft the story. I give all the juicy details. I do the build up. I have the photos. All the things, right? A couple observations. I have, it's so slutty. And I don't say slutty like in a defamatory way about myself. It's just a part of me is a little slutty. I have had men who I've never met in person that I've met on dating apps that I have sexted with.
Okay.
And it's like naughty stranger, like that you don't know and you're kind of trying it out. So I've tried it out a few times where I connect with somebody on the app, maybe we talk on the phone, we FaceTime, and then we get into talking about, are you super sexual? What are you into? Blah, blah, blah. And then usually that conversation can often parlay into sexting.
So it's stranger sexting. It's like having a one night stand, but with sexting.
Yes, exactly. It's stranger sexting. What I have found is, and I actually don't do it anymore because it always leads to disappointment. Because I have found that the men who I have encountered who are elite sexters because they can't do it in bed.
Oh, really?
Yes, I had a guy who we had an elite sexting relationship. Like, it was on another level. It was so good. The one with the chocolate dipped penis.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's a historical penis.
It's a historical penis. He is part English, part Egyptian. And so he had a penis that was chocolate dipped. So the top half of it was pink, and the bottom half and the balls were like a purple, like a darker skin tone. And we had an epic sexting experience. So then we didn't live in the same state. I was in his state for a conference, and we were like, let's spend like a week together, 5 days together. So we got together, and we also had lots of conversations, not sex. Like we were talking and connecting and getting to know each other. And so very quickly I learned that, one, just like women know their angles, men know their angles for how to take pictures of their dicks to make it look like elite.
Yes.
Okay. Which is fine. It wasn't bad, but
I don't blame them. I'd do the same thing.
It wasn't bad. It just wasn't what was, objects appear close. Objects may appear closer. Like objects may appear larger when a man knows how to take photos with the right angles. So that was interesting. Wasn't mad about it though. But the actual sex was, meh, whatever. It wasn't that great. Sexting was better. I wish we'd never met, and I wish we just kept sexting.
Because now we can't go back to sexting. Because now I know.
Because now I know, it's not legit. It's all fantasy. And I like the buildup of fantasy when it can become reality. And I've had this happen a few times with men. I can think of at least 4 men this has happened with. And I've polled my girlfriends who have sexted or sexed with men they've never met or men they've never had sex with. And they all say sexting is elite. And then we get together and I think we're going to hook up. And we either don't or we do. And it's such a disappointment.
Wow. Because it's almost like it's too much of a buildup. So there's an expectation also there as well.
Yeah.
This is not a good plan.
It's not a good plan.
I would not do this.
I don't do it anymore. I learned my lesson. So that's one way it's gone south for me. The other way it's gone south, and you hinted at it, the thumbs up.
You did it or someone did it to you?
Someone did it to me.
Oh my God, I feel so validated.
So
I was horrified and embarrassed when it happened to me.
Okay. Let me be very clear about something. And I actually am going to start saying this to men because they don't know unless we say it. If I'm going to engage in the act of sexting with you, which is very vulnerable, no sex ever merits a thumbs up, a kissy face emoji, a flame.
A flame.
Okay? Or just a tongue.
Oh my God, wait, I'm dead. Even if I got the flame, that would have pissed me off too.
The flame enrages me. When a girl is taking the time and the effort to curate such intimate content for you, I better receive a text that says, "Oh my God, baby, you're so fucking hot." Or,
something.
"Wow, baby, you look good." Or, "Oh my OMFG, so fucking hot." I need something.
Yeah.
I need a sentence.
Otherwise, they lose sexting privileges.
I need a full sentence with a period at the end. Send. I need a full statement, okay? I have a lover in another place that I was talking to him about sexting because we don't really sext. And I was like, "Do you like sexting?" And he was like, "I do." And so we started to engage a little bit. And I sent him a really amazing video from
artwork. A video.
A video, a performance from the archives. And his response, and I almost told him the rules before I sent it, but I thought better of him. I was wrong.
Knowing more about him, I would have thought better of him too.
In response, I get the emoji with the side smirk, the side eye, side smirk emoji. That's it. And so I lose.
And he did not write anything back. It wasn't like that was a lead to saying something.
He hearted it, and then he sent a smirk. So I proceeded to send 4 voice memos. 4. Where I started.
I would love to hear these.
You can hear them later. I have them on my phone.
Oh, I would
play them for
love
you.
it.
The first voice memo I said, "I don't know who you think you are, but if a woman is sending you a sext, it is never appropriate to respond with an emoji, a flame, a tongue, a thumbs up, or a heart. Okay? The only appropriate response is to tell me how fucking hot I am and you can't wait to see me," or something of that nature. So then he sends a voice memo back laughing at my response because I'm enraged. And he goes, "Oh, are you just sending sex so that way you can get me to say compliment you?" And I voice memo back.
Is he an idiot? Now he just really screwed himself.
I voice memo back and I said, "Yes, that's exactly why I'm doing it. I literally want you to tell me how hot I look." That's what
was that so wrong? This is how this game works. It goes back and forth.
I said, "This isn't a ploy. I'm being straight up with you. Yes, I want you to tell me how hot I am.
And I want to tell you how hot I think you are."
And he's like, "Well, I sent you a dick pic this morning." And you didn't acknowledge it. I said, yes, I did. I said,
Ah,
wow.
see, there is the truth
So then
there.
I said, no, I texted you back and I said, wow, your dick looks great. Because it did.
Compliment.
Complimented him. I said, what did you want me to say? What script did you want me to have? At least I didn't
What
send
did
an
he say?
emoji.
Did he want more than that?
No, because I ended up sending 3 more voice memos screaming at him. And his response was, I'm sorry. I haven't been good about this. I will do better in the future. And I said, you can do better, but you've lost all privileges for a very long time.
Absolutely.
One and done, we're done.
That's where I'm at now.
Done.
I would be done, not happening, game over. You know, when you were talking about how like men know their angles too, some do not, by the way. I have in my DMs, okay?
I'm sorry.
In my
DMs?
in my DMs. Why haven't I've sent you some of these, haven't I?
Yeah, tell me what it is.
But I've gotten quite a few dick pics. I get lots of
No.
things in my DMs.
You've never sent me
My
these.
number one request is men want to do things with my feet. So that's common. Like anytime, like if I'm showing like one of my pedicures or like shoes I got, even me walking, I'll show like I'll do videos of my stories of me like walking on the beach and then I pan up to the ocean. There's always some foot guy going. I'm like, listen, I mean, how much? Really? And I'm being
Name
serious.
your price.
This is paid content. I'll give you. You want a video of just my feet? Absolutely. I would charge for
Absolutely.
this. Anyway, so I get that, but I've also gotten when I went viral, when I kept going viral back to back on TikTok, there were wow. And what's sad is none of these were worthy of saving. These were people who thought that they were delulu, like in part one, delusional.
Delulu
Thinking
men. Go
that-
back and listen to part 1 and hear what we say about the
This is
delusional
it.
men.
This is part of the delusion where I'm like, and I'm not, okay, listen, I'm not body shaming anyone, but like, there's a certain point where you know, like, that's not an asset that you should be showcasing, perhaps. That's not good.
Yeah.
And that's what I would get. None of them were good. Absolutely
Wow.
crazy. Where was I going with this? Oh, the misleading stuff online. I was really working hard for the segue, and it took me a long time to get there. Of how people are digital thieves.
Oh.
So in part one, we're talking about like the whole digital Ponzi scheme going on and some other online scams. This is talking about people who are copying people's intellectual property, their graphics,
Their exact
their
phrasing,
vibe,
their
even.
vibe.
Oh, yeah, I've seen a lot of that on TikTok where people will call out. And what's sad is these are people with big followings who are doing this.
Yep.
And literally, some people use AI word for word and say those exact words back in their own videos.
Yep.
That's no different than someone going into someone's house and taking a piece of jewelry and stealing it.
Absolutely.
In fact, it's worse because the amount of money, you know, when you really understand like the strategy and the techniques that I teach, and like that in Regina's agency that she helps execute and implement for people, like one piece of content has easily made me. I have several videos, and they're not necessarily my highest performing, that have made me well over $100,000 for a single piece of content.
Yep.
So that's thievery.
That's thievery.
And it really bothers me, but I've had a lot of my stuff copied. I found out from Regina today, who literally showed me.
Literally, like her whole branding of her podcast.
Like my original
yes.
brand, which like my website is still in, which I need to get that. I need a glow up. Do not blow up my DMs on this, but I do want to find a WordPress person. So, but don't blow me up because I'll disappear.
Yeah,
I'll get overwhelmed. I'll get overwhelmed and I get scared. But she showed me, and it was my like same podcast art. And what Regina left out is that I have encountered this person on 2 other occasions. Both occasions, this person literally was like, would not leave me alone. Like, I'm not talking someone who's excited to meet me and like I love that. That's amazing. No, I'm talking literally for hours. And I could not get away from this person. And so when saw that this person was in this other event and Regina was there, we went together. I go, listen, I cannot have her. I'll be polite,
Yeah.
but you've got to do something. And it's
Yeah.
a buffer. Like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe she's super into me. I have no idea.
Yep.
Whatever. Well, that was a while ago. Okay. And then I find out today, we're like prepping for this episode, Regina's like, I go, yeah, I've had people steal me. She's like, well, someone stole all your branding and like your podcast art and everything. And I go, what? And you're like, yeah, I realized the other day, like that's this person. And the person who I was like saying is kind of like stalky.
Like stalky to you.
And I go, well, that would have been really fucking helpful to know when I was trying to be so polite for hours.
My brain like forgot and like didn't make the connection until we were prepping tonight.
I'm like, it was like hours of me trying to be polite. Like, well, maybe she's like a super fan and I don't want to like come across like I'm a bitch. No, I think
she probably is a super fan.
So much of a super fan that she copied all my stuff.
That's what I think.
But I mean, isn't that an expression? Imitation's the biggest form of flattery, but
There's
not
a difference between imitation and thievery.
Exactly. Like, for example, we do this like with influencers or fashion icons from the past, like their inspiration, or we create a look that someone had. Like Regina's in a look right now. If you're watching on ProjectME TV, she cannot stop watching any form of a Gen Z influencer. So she is morphing into a Gen Z and buying everything.
I feel good about it. Does it make me look younger? I don't know.
I love it. I think it looks hot on you. I love it. Where were we going with this? I don't remember.
We were talking about the fraud.
Oh,
online,
and like
thievery.
Right, like you're not copying someone. You are recreating a look that you're like, oh, I love that vibe. I think that's flattery.
That's different. Like when somebody takes inspiration from something that you do and they kind of find their own way with it. But what we've encountered, and we were talking about it before we started recording, is we've had people steal our exact phrasing of how we say things. Like Tiffany and I love words and we love to phrase things in very particular ways. I had somebody once, I was sharing with them about breath work and my brand as a breath worker. And I said, like, breath work is the most powerful, potent modality. And if every single person on the planet was doing breath work, we would live in a different energetic space. And then a month later, this person was doing a live and they said, almost verbatim, the exact way I say that. And I was like, this motherfucker.
And this person, when you said it to them, did have the response of, oh, I love how you said that. Like, was really doting and appreciative of how you said it.
You're so clear on your messaging and what you want to bring forward. And then they fucking went live on Instagram and they have a bigger following than I do in the breathwork space and are a leader in the space. And they said that, and I literally saw it, and I was like, go fuck yourself.
Well, and here's the problem with that. And you guys will hear about a similar experience I had with someone that the two people we're going to be we're referring to, guaranteed you know at least one of the two of them.
1,000%.
I think that's fair to say with this audience. Knowing what you guys are into, that you follow me, you know, you need to follow Regina at Regina A. Lawrence.
Oh my gosh, you remember.
I'm so happy that you noticed.
Happy.
I've been practicing.
You're so good.
And it's taken 2 days.
I'm so proud of
you.
The
A is tough.
The A is tough, yeah.
The A is tough for me.
I know, Regina Lawrence.
Okay, I did it.
You did good.
God, you guys have no idea. I didn't even, if you see on ProjectME TV, there's no notes. So, but what the problem is with someone when they're already, let's say, famous or well-known in the space, and you're not there yet, it looks like you stole from that person. Right. And did you kind of have that thought? Like,
I did for a second, and then my second thought was, fuck you. I'm not changing the way I talk about things, and I'm going to be more famous than you.
I love this attitude. I feel that way now.
Yeah.
But
you had this happen.
It was very early. And you guys know it took me 10 years to start ProjectME, the podcast, the business coaching academy. Like, this took a lot. This was not, I was so terrified. I was so afraid of being judged, what people would think, all the things. And you finally do it and you're wobbly. It's like Bambi. Like I was like a baby deer.
Yeah.
And this, I'm a professionally trained broadcaster. And here I was like terrified in podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
It was like awkward. I'm not reading a teleprompter.
Yeah.
And the show was slow, was slow to the point where I was like, God, this seems like a waste. Maybe people were right. It's a hobby, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, no, I'm going to do this for a year. And I gave myself that speech. As soon as I like got on that energetic, abundant frequency, my shit started blowing up.
Yeah.
So I was asked to be on a show that was definitely more well-known and more popular than mine by far.
Yes.
Okay. And I also then in turn had this person on my show. Okay. I mean, if you guys are really bored, you could probably figure it out. But when I was on this person's show, you know, one of my brand stories is me having no self-worth. And then how I used to make $17,000 a year. And I'm not going to say the exact phrase because this is the type of person who would want to save face and probably try to sue me.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say the exact phrase, but it had to do with money and self-worth.
Yeah.
And they had a similar response to this. The person who stole your thing was like, loved it, nailed it. And I get it. When someone says something or I see a great fucking quote, I love me a quote graphic.
Yep.
You know, and I see one where I'm like, I give like the content creator nod,
Totally.
like, or even like a powerful sentence or a paragraph in a book, or, you know, it's like, it's like, I really appreciate it. Right. So I was kind of proud of myself. I was like, oh, that's cool. Cause I was like, you know, impressed with this person of what they've created. And literally maybe 2 weeks later, full hardcore heavy ad campaign with a quote card, with their picture, with my damn quote. I'm talking heavy ad campaign. Like I went, oh my God. And then it was said on other podcasts, other things. And so I didn't feel at that time, I didn't feel I could own it back. I was too worried that because I'd be horrified of copying someone even like unintentionally.
Yeah.
That people would think for sure I took it from this person and I let it go. And you know what? It still feels like thievery to me.
It is.
And I'm not saying, listen, like all of us can string words together. Sometimes we think we come up with something profound and we find out someone famous actually said it 30 years ago. But it was like a part of my brand and I like worked really hard at that. And I never have taken it back. I haven't seen it floating around though since I became big, since I like my show really took off. I've not seen it float at all around. So that's really interesting.
It is interesting.
But like a lot of people will ask me like, why don't you go after people like that? Some things aren't worth it. I love when people share my stuff. Just tag me.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm a content creator. It's meant to be shared. You can share it in your feed. You can take something I say on my podcast and make a graphic out of it.
And give credit.
And as long as you give credit, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
But like, why do you think it is? I feel like this is more prevalent with people who are actually well known. Like, and it's in the news, so I feel I can say it. I mean, Jay Shetty has gotten in a lot of trouble for this. Right?
A lot of trouble.
So, and there was like receipts showing that he did do it. I don't know if he's ever like apologized, but like.
Well, because the thing about content is this, there is a digital trail where you can at least see first in time who said something or who posted it or who, you know what I mean? So with Jay Shetty, he was posting all these quotes, but you could see that the original content creators put that quote out long before he ever did. Like with your situation with that person, you probably could look back to stuff that you were doing and saying, and you said it first in time before they did.
Good, fair point.
That's the lawyer in me, is like,
I never thought about that.
Yeah, like there's always a digital, if you publicly have a brand based on something and you're putting content out and it's dated, especially on Instagram is so easy, you can see the date it was posted. So like so somebody like Jay Shetty, Instagram has been the wild, wild west in a lot of times, and people share people's posts, and there's meme accounts, and there's whole accounts devoted to sharing other people's content, right?
Exactly.
And so I think they got cocky and sloppy, you know?
Just like in normal thievery,
Right.
how people get caught is by they get greedy, they take longer, they try to take too much stuff,
Yeah.
then they get busted finally,
Yeah, and the
right?
thing is, like, the way that they get busted is they start to steal stuff from people who maybe weren't that big and then get big, and then the fans of the original content creator are usually the investigators. And they're like, they would see Jay Shetty's stuff and they would comment like, this was actually created by so and so, and they would tag the original author. So the original authors were getting tagged, and then the original authors started to speak out to be like, this is actually mine, or you didn't actually say this, it came from the Bible, or like, like,
That's
like
amazing.
these aren't your original quotes.
I mean, and if someone said to me, like called me out or made me aware, did you know this, so and so said this from this book, and I went and looked and it was, well, I would obviously edit the caption.
I'd
Like,
edit it and give credit. All you have
right,
to do is
like I
edit the
wouldn't, it's
caption.
not like being done intentional. But why do you think they do it? Do they not, they're just getting greedy? They don't have enough of their own good content to go off from?
Yeah, I think they don't have enough of their own good content, and I think that they get sloppy.
It's like you've got to protect yourself because I hear a lot of people will say, well, I've even heard people advertise this stuff where it's like, I've made $5 million in the first 18 months of my business, and I have only less than 1% chargebacks, and they'll talk about like how they never have people defaulting on payments, on payment plans and things. That's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like any major brand, Aloe,
Totally.
Nordstrom, Zara, and them saying no one steals from us and no one returns our clothes.
Right.
Like they're digital products, right? Like this is why, like on all of my stuff, it's very clear there's no refund at any time for any reason, and it's not like hidden.
No.
It's very clear. It's written in multiple places, just like a store has to be.
Right.
But there are people just like who ruin it for us in retail and why they have to mark shit up so high,
Mm-hmm.
who play a scam where they will use a credit card that they're intentionally using to buy a bunch of people's stuff, right? Like group programs, courses, anything you can think of that's digital. And I'm talking like even something if it was like a done for you digital manuscript template, like even
Mm-hmm.
shit that's like $800, $3,000, okay? And then what they'll do is they just bought all this stuff. And then when the bill comes, they will claim that it's a fraudulent card and they're fraudulent charges.
Oh.
That's the game, but they already have all the
The digital
goods.
product.
Just like if someone uses a fraudulent card in a store, right? And they get away with it, they have all the goods.
Right.
And it's a fraudulent start. The store does not get the money back.
No.
The store has to pay for that. Like they're not getting the goods right back. That's why they have to upcharge everything.
Yeah.
There are people who do this, and I'm not trying to say it to scare you. I'm trying to normalize it,
Yeah.
that it's part of business, right? Like just like the restaurant business, people skim, people take drinks home, take food home. Like it is part of the business.
Totally.
And I would say it's 1% to 3%.
Yeah.
So the more sales you have, like my last launch was huge, right? It's like 1% to 3% represents more people doing it just because there's more bodies.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel good. It feels like you're being stolen from because you fucking are. Just like when someone has like a small business owner. I have a friend in up by the other house, and she has a boutique and it's been there for so long. And several teenage girls came in. They must have played just a really good role and knew what they were doing. And they stole like several $1,000s worth of stuff from her.
Really?
And like because of COVID, she was running so tight against the line of having to close, and that put her over the edge. And she had to close. It's so
Wow.
horrible and selfish. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, she has insurance, but then that gets complicated. And it's
Yep.
like, yes, I have insurance too. But it's insane. And I think it's important for people to know.
But I think in the
that.
digital space, people don't think of it as like fraud or thievery. Just like we talked about on episode one, on part one, we talked about the fact that, if you are if you're buying followers, you're buying likes, you're buying engagement, you're buying podcast downloads, that is fraudulent activity. You are lying to people. You are lying
In
to your
order to gain something, meaning money, clients.
clients, clout. You're lying. You're being fraudulent. It is unethical. And, you know, energy and karma will come for you. That's how it
And
works.
I get that it's tempting. Okay, just like, it can be tempting. I'm sure some people listening have stole shit. In fact,
Yeah.
I know it because you guys are crazy.
Yeah, of course.
And I stole some shit too when I was in college. It's not right, but I did.
Yeah.
It's like it's a tempting thing when your business isn't doing well, you feel like your following isn't growing, you're getting so frustrated, your ego gets involved, you're starting to think, oh, if I like take this a picture in front of a private jet, or if I make myself look like I have more making more money,
Mm-hmm.
or I buy these followers, or I copied a couple people's pieces of content and that did really well.
Yeah.
And then you want to like keep going with it and justify it to yourself that it's okay because you're having such a hard time and you're struggling to grow. So I want you to just really think about it when you get an ego like that
Mm-hmm.
and just know fake shit brings you fake money and it brings you
Absolutely.
fake clients. It brings you trash,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you have a trash mindset, you're going to attract trash.
Absolutely.
When you have an abundant mindset, you attract abundant friends in your life, abundant situations, opportunities, cash, sales, people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we all can get trashed. There are many times where I went, God, do I need to like buy followers? Like, what
Totally.
do I need to fucking do?
Totally.
It's like, like where I felt like, is that what I need to do for someone to fucking see me?
Yeah.
To like get that like the show needs to be famous? Like I'm putting in all the work here. You can get like old.
Yeah. But I also think like, and we know this because we know the algorithm, is when you start to do things like that, when you start to buy a following and likes and engagement, you're actually ruining your account. The engagement that you could get by organically growing a community and creating content and studying your content and figuring out what's converting, what's not. Okay, we're going to do more of what's converting. Like, that's how you'll grow an engaged community. You could have 200 followers who are ride or dies that from those 200 people, you have over a six-figure business.
I 1,000% have seen it. I agree with this. This is exactly what you would be learning coming to my 2-day in-person mastermind event that's here at the beach. Regina is going to be here
I
as
will be
well.
here.
So this is going deep into the not just the money wounds, but also the practical strategy of the stuff that you need in order to make your business profitable without losing your mind and setting things up like the real way, not the fantasy way.
Yeah.
So that if you set it up the fantasy way, you know what ends up happening? You might get some sales out of the gate for fantasy marketing, but it is not going to end up feeling good in your body.
No.
You're going to go like, I don't really like how I'm wording this, or this feels really hard or exhausting, or, like you have those feelings. It's because it's not how you're meant to present your brand, your offers, your things.
No.
And then it all ends up going downhill and
Well,
crashing.
because people are going to figure out that you're a shim sham.
Even if you're not intentionally being
Exactly.
a shim sham, you're not being genuine and honest with yourself.
Exactly. And people always find out, people always figure it out. Energy doesn't lie. And so we are just so passionate about like doing things ethically, with integrity. We understand the stress that we can feel and the desire to go viral and the desire to create viral content, right? But that's something that is it's an art, it's a skill, it's something that Tiffany is a master in and that you will teach at the mastermind.
Yeah. I mean, basically, you need to come. The pre-sale is ending soon, and this only happens once a year. Or you can continue to like fuck around and try to figure it out and go round and round in circles. And then now it's December, and then now you're mad at yourself, and then it's March, and I just don't want to see that for you. I know what that looks like when people finally do come to me after all of that and everyone goes, God, I wish I did it sooner. I have the same feeling in other areas of my life.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to feel this about this like body healing journey I'm on. I know I'm going to end up going, what an idiot. Why the hell didn't I do it sooner? Well,
sooner.
I don't know. I didn't.
Because you did
At least I'm doing it now.
Yeah.
So if you guys love this, let us know feedback. You can drop it here in the comments on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube at ProjectME TV, you can DM us, Regina A. Lawrence.
Hey.
I remembered again at Project Me with Tiffany on TikTok or Instagram. You can reply to any of my emails. Take a screenshot of this, share it in your Instagram stories, and tag us. That will also let us know that you loved it. What other topics would you like for us to cover? And if you're like, listen, this is way too much kind of personal, silly, like it's entertaining, fun stuff, but like I don't really want to hear you guys talk about that. I'd rather hear about healing and money.
Yes.
I would want to know that too, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Because we could sit here and not have to have done this whole setup and just have us had a conversation and not shared it.
Yeah.
Like ultimately this needs to be like for the greater amusement of all.
Yeah, like I'm chatting with Pop-Pops because I want to share it. But I want an audience that wants to hear about my Pop-Pops and my chocolate dipped dicks, you know?
I'm telling you, Pop-Pops is going to circle the wagon at some point.
I think
I'm predicting holiday times, Hanukkah season. I think Gaddy's dead, unfortunately.
I was going to ask that actually.
Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Let's do the math.
Yeah, I thought
Gaddy's
so.
dead.
Yeah, I thought so. I had a feeling. I felt morbid asking the question.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.